Hey everybody, it's Ben. Welcome back to the channel. Many of you recently watched my short video essay on the 77 grain OTM 5.56 cartridges, for which I want to say thank you very much. Many of you left great comments, including many inquiries about the rifle I was shooting in that video at the 600-yard target. I was intentionally leaving some of the details about the gun out of that video. I probably should have mentioned the barrel length and the twist rate because that is directly relevant to what we were discussing in that video, so I did pin a comment with that information, but I wanted to save the broader discussion on the gun for this video today. So I have with me, in the flesh, the Weiser SPR. In today's video, we are going to be going over this build. I'll tell you about why this is my personal favorite rifle and some of the aspects that make it unique in the SPR role. So this is a custom build. I put it together myself from components. It is built on Aero Precision M4E1 receivers, upper and lower. Goals for this build are to remain lightweight. We want to retain the fast and handy aspect of an AR-15 carbine, but to also extend the effective engagement distance with this gun out to about the 600-yard range. Without further ado, let's get into some of the more consequential components choices on this gun that make it what it is. First thing that we're going to get into here is the barrel. So the traditional SPR setup is going to be a 18-inch rifle length gas heavy profile barrel. The idea here is to have a heavy, rigid barrel that has a high heat capacity so that when you are dumping rounds, the barrel will be able to heat up while still retaining its accuracy. There have been experiments in the space recently with shorter SPRs of the 16-inch or even 14.5 barrel lengths. This one is a 16-inch barrel and the profile is quite different. This is a Criterion core barrel. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the Criterion core, what we have here is a thick section of the barrel at the chamber where the heat is generated, and then a continuous taper down to a thinner barrel profile up at the muzzle. The idea here is to redistribute the weight from the front end more towards the rear so that we have that heat capacity where the heat is generated, but to maintain a light weight on the front end of the gun so that when we put our devices and suppressors up front, you aren't left with an obscenely front-heavy setup. I do notice on the core profile barrel that it does have less heat capacity than a heavy profile barrel, so as I'm shooting, I do notice that the barrel will heat up. The groups don't suffer that much. They will open up a little bit when the barrel gets hot, but what is important is that I've never experienced the groups to wander from the actual zero. The groups will just open up a little bit in their dispersion, but remain centered on where you're aiming, which really is what you want in terms of performance from a barrel as it heats up. The magic of the Criterion core barrel and what makes this build so amazing for me is the bullet velocities that you get out of these barrels. Criterion performs some kind of dark hex on these barrels, which enables them to produce significantly higher muzzle velocities than other barrels of comparable length. As you guys saw in the 77 grain OTM video, this gun with a 16-inch barrel is pushing 55 grain at 3,200 feet per second and 77 grains at 2,750. That is 20-inch barrel M16 velocity from a 16-inch barrel with a suppressor that remains incredibly lightweight. This gun weighs, as you see it, 11 pounds with a full 20 round mag of 77s. I do run the Atlas bipod on this gun when I need it. This adds 0.8 pounds. So with a full mag of heavy 5.56 and the bipod, you are at 11.8 pounds. As ARs go, 11 pounds seems like a lot, but when you consider the capabilities of this gun, stacking rounds easily at 600 yards with a suppressor, with a high candela light, with a full rifle scope, the weight on this gun I'm incredibly happy with. And the barrel has a lot to do with that. The core barrel leverages a lighter weight profile, intelligently designed so that the gun is still wieldable as a standard AR-15 carbine, while also producing velocities that far exceed the length of the barrel. Its mix of attributes lends so perfectly to a lightweight, accurate long-range setup like this. As we finish up with the barrel, let's talk about the muzzle. I am running a suppressor on this gun, and it is the Huxworks Flow 5.56K. The 5.56K in a lot of ways is the cherry on top of this setup. It has a short overall length. I think it's only 5.5 inches. It's relatively lightweight as suppressors go. It sounds great. And of course, the claim to fame on the flow suppressors is the low back pressure. And on the 556K, it works so good. I think Huxworks claims that the flow suppressors increase the back pressure into the system only by about 2%, and that number feels about right. As you all probably know, suppressor technology is moving really, really fast right now, and I'm sure there are technically more impressive cans out there than the Flow 556K, but again, for its mix of attributes, it is just fantastic. Another component that you do not want to leave home without on a setup like this is a suppressor cover, some kind of thermal wrap that you can put on the can to contain the heat and stop it from miraging up into the line of your scope. When you are looking through this scope, especially at higher magnification, when this thing heats up, which it will very fast, you're going to get that mirage coming off of the top of the suppressor, and you're looking straight through it at high magnification. Your target is going to be totally blurred and garbled and moving around, undulating in a way that makes it very hard to shoot accurately. A suppressor cover like this one from Burn-Proof Gear will do enough to reduce that to a point where I don't notice it anymore, so I would strongly recommend you get one of these. We are running a pretty high performance flashlight on this gun. This is the Surefire Dual Fuel Scout Light Turbo. Turbo meaning that it is the very high throw, high candela beam pattern that Surefire produces. And again, this works really, really well. This light head throws a ton of candela. This is an extremely impressive light, and it does a lot more than I probably need it to. It is connected here to a simple Unity Axon SL. It is just a little ramped button, just a momentary short press or constant on click. I'm not running multiple devices up here, so I like just having a single button, and this is my favorite button that I've found. Just ergonomically works really good for me. The handguard here is a Midwest Industries combat rail. There are better handguard designs in terms of reducing possible flex or rotation from the handguard. I don't really mind it. This handguard looks really good. It has a lot of M-LOK slots, and it is extremely lightweight, which is kind of the MO of this build. It's exactly what I need for a gun like this, and I would recommend it if you understand what you're getting into. Our optics stack here is a 4-16 power Vortex Diamondback Tactical, first focal plane MOA scope with a piggyback red dot. It is the Trijicon RMR in an Aero Precision ultralight scope mount. So 4-16 power is again slightly different from the kind of traditional SPR setup, which would be like a 2-10. However, I really find value in the extra top power, especially because I live out here where we have very long sight lines and I do like to shoot long range. A higher magnification top end just feels necessary out here. 10 power does not cut it for the types of shooting that I do with this gun. And for the higher top power, I don't feel like I'm losing that much in terms of weight. The Diamondback Tactical is by no means the heaviest rifle scope you can get. I do have some complaints with it. It is kind of more of a budget end scope. You could definitely spend more on glass than this. The top elevation turret is a little bit mushy and imprecise. It feels like when you reach a detent click point, the position of the turret is a little bit misaligned from the actual witness mark on the scope body. So you're kind of guessing which side of the click you should be on to actually be at zero. You kind of just need to pick one and go with it. The other thing I dislike about this scope is going to be that it is MOA instead of mil. So when I first learned the basics on long range shooting, the guys who taught me with the MOA system, which I do like. It is very intuitive and easy and quick to do MOA. However, when you are dialing that elevation turret at distances beyond 600 yards, you're starting to get into some really big numbers, compensating for the bullet drop on the 5.56. So, I mean, if you're shooting 1,000 yards, you're trying to dial like 40 to 50 MOA, and there's only 15 MOA around the ring here, and there's no indication how many times around you've gone. So having to dial that much on a scope like this, where it doesn't indicate how many revolutions you've already made, it is just a nightmare. It really is not a fun part of the experience for me. I like the scope itself, but MOA versus mil, you really want mil on a gun like this. The top red dot I have here is the Trijicon RMR. Of course, for a roll like this, it is pretty much perfect. It's very durable, so if I am bumping this gun around, transporting it, anything like that, I have no problems with the red dot becoming damaged or anything like that. The RMR is just going to tank pretty much anything. And of course, the RMR is truly small. It is a true miniature red dot sight, which is what you want on a piggyback red dot like this. There are times where I wish I had an enclosed red dot, so like the RCR would be good on here, but that is a much bulkier, tankier looking unit. That's going to add a lot of extra bulk up on the top end of this that I don't necessarily want. You can see I have everything up on the front end kind of dripped out in the 100 Concepts stuff. So my light has the light cap on it, my scope has the front objective cap, and then I have the hex cap on the RMR to do the anti-reflection stuff. I do not run a rear cap on my scope. It's just not something I really find necessary. I have a throw lever on the scope, and we also have a bubble level here on the scope. If you guys are serious about shooting long range, I very, very strongly recommend that you do get a bubble level. It's very important to have the scope and the barrel level with each other so that you're not canted off to one side or the other at 500, 600, 700, 800 yards. If you're canted too far left and right, you're going to be inducing quite a bit of left and right deflection. So having that bubble level or some kind of anti-cant device properly trued to the scope is really, really important. Highly, highly recommend that you guys get a anti-cant device of some kind on your precision rifle. Let's talk about what we have going on with the lower here. So the trigger we have in here is a Geisley. It is the SSAEX, I think. It's the very, very light, very expensive one. Extremely good tactile feedback. Very nice reset. It is a great trigger. I like the bow as well, a very gentle curve. It feels really, really good. You probably don't need to spend that much on a trigger. Any of your standard Geisley, SSAE triggers would fit really, really good in an SPR type precision setup like this. The safety that we have here is the forward controls design. I think it's called the ASF. And it is the one with the Q-shaped levers that is the 45-degree throw. So normally I like a 90-degree throw traditional safety on an AR. However, I really like the 45-degree throw on this one. When you do engage the safety to put it on fire here, that 45-degree Q lever there makes a perfect little thumb rest so that you are able to run your hand in the more PRS shooting style where you have your thumb rested on the same side of the grip as your trigger finger. That does a lot to reduce excess movement in the hand as you press the trigger. Having that thumb on the other side with your trigger finger means that you're inducing less sympathetic movement out of the thumb as you press your index finger to the rear. I like having that little thumb ledge, that little resting point there on the safety. Just a great little ergonomic feature of this gun. Shout out to Forward Controls, very nice component. We also have the bad lever on here. Bad lever is pretty much mandatory on all my ARs, just to make the process of controlling the bolt in terms of locking it open to clear malfunctions and things like that, and then to, of course, put the magazine in and then drop it immediately from your index finger. Another consideration for that on the SPR is when you are laying prone, if you need to lock the bolt open, it already is enough of an ordeal to do it just regularly, standing up in your firing position. But when you're prone, to put your thumb on the bolt catch and then to draw the bolt to the rear, like right next to your face as you're prone on the gun, it just sucks. So being able to kind of lift your head up, do it with your left hand, and then hold the bolt open from the firing position is just so much better. Definitely recommend a Magpul bad lever type device on an SPR, again, just on any AR-15 as a quality of life upgrade. The final trick I have up my sleeve on the lower of this gun is going to be the recoil operation system. So I am running a non-standard buffer setup in here, and that is going to be the JP Enterprises Silent Captured Spring. Here's the actual unit right here. So you can see that it removes the actual traditional coil spring with the buffer nested inside of it. Instead, we have removable changeable buffer weights on a guide rod. So this does a couple things. First thing, less consequential, it deletes the scratchy twanging noise of the recoil spring inside the buffer tube as you're shooting. That's not so much of a big deal, although it is nicer to have the gun operate a little bit more silently. What this is great for, though, is it smooths the recoil impulse out. These are traditionally run on competition guns, so AR-15s for 3-gun, or something like a pistol caliber carbine that runs a buffer setup like this. That lends itself really well to the SPR roll. Again, like you're seeing in the 77 OTM video, I'm shooting a string of fire pretty fast at 600 yards on an IPSC steel. Being able to stay on target, having the recoil just be smooth and mellow is really important. I can self-spot and I can watch trace on my bullets with this gun, and I attribute a lot of that to the recoil system. So having an upgraded recoil system, something that smooths the recoil impulse out, makes the gun just overall more pleasant to shoot and more soft, really will help you out with those faster strings of fire at long range. We'll finish up on upper components here. So the bolt carrier group that we have here is the Psionics NP3 coated bolt carrier group. It is a bolt carrier group that is reliable. It does what it should do. And the NP3 coating is extremely nice. It is very high lubricity, so it's very slick, and it cleans amazingly well. You can see it's quite shiny and freshly cleaned in there. I just wiped it down with shop towels and a little bit of CLP before shooting this video. It's very, very nice coating to have on a bolt carrier group, and the Psionics quality is very, very high. The charging handle we have here is the Geisley Airborne, the ACH. A consideration for an SPR or like a field rifle mountain gun type setup where you're going to be slinging it and hiking with it, don't go overboard on a charging handle with big latches. It's very nice to have like the Radian Raptor with the big wings on it. Makes the gun very fast and easy to charge. However, when you have this thing slung and you're hiking with it, those big latches are going to stab into your back and you're going to take that shit off your gun immediately. So finally, onto the stock end here, I have a standard Magpul carbine stock on here. This is the DT model. Usually on a precision AR like this, you're going to see like a big bulky adjustable stock like the B5 Systems one, or a Magpul PRS type stock with an adjustable cheek comb and a length of pull adjustment back here. I find those bigger, higher performance precision rifle stocks a little unnecessary on a setup like this. Again, the goal for this build is to be lightweight and portable and handy, and to retain the lightweight carbine aspect while also being accurate, mechanically speaking. I recommend just a basic carbine stock on an SPR like this because, again, you want to maintain the lightweight, portable, handy aspect. I think that's gonna about do it, you guys, for the setup here. I do want to do a short section about what I would change if I would ever go through a little bit of an upgrade program for this gun, which probably will happen at some point. From the front to the back, the light, I think this is a lot more flashlight that I need on this gun. I think the philosophy of use on white lights for a gun like this is to illuminate areas of temporary darkness where you may need to be searching or scanning an area if you need to move into a structure, something like that, to illuminate dark areas incidentally instead of projecting a beam at a target that you're actually shooting at, you know, hundreds of yards away. So a light this capable, although it is extremely impressive and very nice to have, it is a luxury to have on a gun like this. It's a little bit of extra weight on the front end that I would like to shed. Next thing is going to be the scope. All things being equal, this scope works really, really good on this setup. It's lightweight and it has a good reticle for the types of shooting that I do with this. It has a great zoom range. The MOA system just does not work for me on a long-range 5.56 setup. It has to be mil. I need to be dialing less than 50 MOA, 3.5 rotations up on the top turret to shoot at 800 yards. Try to retain the lightweight aspect, try to retain a higher top-end power, but have better user experience, mil-based reticle, and better turrets probably than this Vortex Diamondback has would be good. Least consequential thing that I would change here, I think would be the charging handle. I would really like to try the Forward Controls Design charging handle. It's a bit of a mil-spec enhanced style where you have rounded latches that are a little bit bigger and ambidextrous latches there. Just something to reduce the snag points and likelihood of getting stabbed in the rib cage by this thing when I have it slung and I'm hiking with the gun. Otherwise, guys, that is the Weiser SPR in a nutshell. Lightweight, handy, accurate, very high velocity carbine for the weight and size of it. As always, let me know if you guys have any questions about the build or any of the components in the comment section down below. You can also email me or message me on Instagram. Follow me over on Instagram, by the way, at Weiser. I'm trying to do a little bit more engagement over there. Also looking at doing some more fun stuff on YouTube, maybe some live streams if you guys like playing games. Let me know what would be fun. We'll run some Helldivers or something like that on the channel here with you guys. I think that would be super fun. So thank you guys, as always, so much for watching, for subscribing to the channel. It means so much to me. Hopefully the weather's getting nice where you guys are and you're getting excited for summer. It's just around the corner. Appreciate it so much, boys. Have a great time. Thank you. Bye-bye.